Free Palestine!
XGU Awesome just subscribed for 16 months.
What up, chat? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Shout out Acid Burn. Shout out Liberal Texas. What up, Proletariat, Bovenita? What up, Audra, Crescent Moon, Hot Sauce, Junior, Jesse, I see you. What's going on? XGU, hello, Audra. I think I already said your name, but what up? What's going on? Hello, Diana. Hello, hello. Void Between, if you're still here. What's going on? Proletariat Red. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Did you see the event we did with Hartzell? I saw your message in the Discord, if that's what you mean. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. How's everybody doing tonight? What are you guys feeling? I was super busy today, and I had an interview at a coffee shop at like 3 p.m. with the Kansas City Star. And during that interview, I had a burrito, a breakfast burrito. And I think that shit made me sick. I am not feeling very good. And yeah, getting worse and worse. We'll see how long I last here. But we're good. We're good. We're going to try to push through. We're going to try to push through. Our boy with tummy problems, right? That sucks. I know. I know. But, really productive day otherwise. Really, really good day. Honestly, had a lot of really good meetings. Really, really, like, productive day for me. So, it was a W outside of the fucking breakfast burrito. Damn it. Anyway. Yeah, what should we do tonight? I have a little bit of a program, but I'm not feeling like, I don't know, I'm not feeling real super drawn or like inspired by nothing. We definitely got some videos we can watch though. We can check out. Virtual tummy rub. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, wow. Very cool. Greater Lansing DSA did SEIGE's strat, and they salted someone into a village council in a small town. Southeast Kansas, is that what SEK is? Is that what that means? Yes? Okay, cool. I got it. I just had to learn. Anyway, well, yeah, what should we do? What should we focus on? What are you guys thinking about right now? What are the big topics that you've been chewing on over the past few days, huh? In the news, huh? I mean, we're at the brink of war. Breakfast burritos, yeah? You think I should talk about that more? How fucked the food system is? Heard. I have her big write-up tweet for you to look on stream. It screams, what the fuck? And send this to Hassan if you want. This might derail TPUSA. Brother, Candace is gonna do her shit, man. Candace is gonna do... I don't look at Candace Owens. I don't care what she thinks. I really don't. I don't care. The attack on trans rights? Yeah, Acid, I saw you post that in there. I've been keeping my eye on that a little bit for the past few days. Honestly, like, Kansas state legislature has been putting forward bill after bill after shitty fucking bill. And, you know, yeah. Been immigrants, trans people, just kind of fucking relentlessly. It sucks. Did you see Sharice Davids? Hassan should not get involved with Candace. That will end badly. Is that even being talked about? Why would Hassan get involved with Candace Owens? He calls her Clandis. Is that a conversation that people are having? It looks like Erica might be in the Epstein list. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I don't know, man. I actually don't care. I don't know, man. I think the Epstein list, we should arrest them all. Fuck yeah, bro. Put them into the... If we have prisons, they should exist for people like Epstein and his cohort. for those pedophile, powerful people. But I'm also like realistic about the world that we do live in. That's not what prisons are used for. Rich people don't have consequences. They don't follow the same laws as us. They're not accountable to dick. You know? I can't even begin to like scratch the surface on this Candace Owens shit. Personally. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a victim. I think that too. Wasn't she like a beauty pageant girl? Like, ugh. I'm tired of the world, TBH. Yeah, me too. Me too, but I am very much in love with my community. I had some really great meetings today. And I felt like I was like, wow, this is really the work I really want to be doing. And it was really, really cool and special. You know? We're just one more video essay about the Epstein files away from justice being served. True. I love this song. We got any Liana Laavas? Any Liana Laavas fans in the chat? Oh, my sun's going down. Oh. I love this artist. I've been a big fan for like since like 2012, bro. She's so dope. Well, let me put on a song from her like early stuff. I feel like this stuff was like kind of big. Yeah, this is her 2012 album. Did you check out the artist I sent you in the chord? I put it on while I was like brushing my teeth, but I haven't like given it a full listen, honestly. I've fallen into it. It's true. I've fallen into it. Twitch streamers don't listen to music. I know, it's true. I used to listen to a lot more music before I started streaming, but nowadays, very little. Very little. Still try to keep my ear to the ground though. Hey, what'd you guys think about this? Oops. What'd you think about this? Anybody watch this? Thoughts? I didn't even try. I saw Sean react to it a little. I stayed away. Didn't catch much. I watched Sean slowly go insane. Yeah, I mean Sean's a great person to cover that. I'm certainly not gonna do like a big breakdown or anything. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. Adam Mockler definitely like went way more liberal than I thought, but also like kind of was making concessions in ways that I wasn't expecting. Like he's certainly different than Hutch, whereas like he at least will admit that he wants like populist policies. Whereas Hutch I think would like be like, no, we don't need we don't need Medicare for all. Like he's that kind of liberal, which is like an insane thing to be, obviously. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I also think it's interesting, like just seeing how Hassan behaves in those situations, and this is not meant to be a critique of him, but I felt like in that conversation, Hassan was not trying to radicalize Adam Mockler or Adam Mockler's audience. He was like trying to moderate himself so that Adam Mockler's audience will engage with the radical politics that are in the rest of his stream, which I think is interesting. But I don't know. Yo, welcome in, Zatchap. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you're good, man. Mockler has a 20-year-old's opinions, and it sure shows. He literally doesn't, though. Like, that's actually not true. Adam Mockler's opinions are old white folk, liberal white folk opinions. He does not have a 20-year-old's opinions. Like, I feel like the youth are not with him. They're like, his audience is old. They're old liberals, like Democratic voters. Can we shit on liberals today? I mean, yeah, but also it's like, I don't know. He has no experience in observing politics past 2024. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I guess like this is what I always try to do. And like this is what I tried to do with my Hutch interview, or like debate, or whatever you want to call it, interview, debate, whatever. Like it was like I wasn't trying to engage really with like his liberal politics. I was trying to like point out contradictions to him, you know, and like get him to like see it differently. And that didn't work. Like he didn't give a fuck. He wasn't listening to what I said. I feel like in general, like those things are just like useless. Like, you know, it's just useless. It's like not worth having the like. Would I love to like have conversations with liberals in that way? Sure, but do you know what? I'm doing that already in my organizing all the time. You know, and like if we're talking, I think conversations about politics that happen in abstract are almost always fucking useless. Like if we're not working on a project together, if we're not trying to build towards a shared interest, then like what the fuck is the point? It's all of it's just hypothetical. It's all just hypothetical. And of course, yeah, you can just say whatever, you know, when there's no consequences or actions that are forced to back up your opinion, then yeah, you can just say whatever the fuck you want. Like, you know, that's like the problem with almost all internet discourse. You know? I don't know. It's just so weird. But yeah, that conversation was frustrating to watch for sure. Mogler. I have a methodology of teaching dialectical materialism to reach libs. I do sometimes 5 times a day to encourage first-time chatters. And it seems to mostly work. I mess around with MS Paint for a while to do it. Nice. Eric worked for the Koran group, who sold the luxury properties, such as a ranch now owned by Don Huffines. Dude, I'm not even in the same book as you, bro. Not only am I not on the same page, I'm not in the same book. I don't know what any of that shit is. I don't know what any of that. Yeah, they're all fucking capitalist pedophiles. What now? What am I supposed to do with that knowledge now? Because I was already there. So what now? You know? I don't feel like there's any justice for victims coming forward, nor is there any urgency to like deal with the current pedophile kebabs or cabals, like pedophile kebabs, bro. Bah! Bah! What up, Mai Tai? In China, they would be put down. True. That is refreshing. People act like it's like when we swapped over from feudalism to parliamentary to capitalism. And all of a sudden, the ruling class decided they were going to hold some kind of moral decorum in their free time. Yeah. I try to bring up leftist talking points at work and need to carefully pick my battles. They all listen when I talk union politics and put numbers to the corporate waste. Money talks. Yes. Ice Chai is correct. Like it's not even just like money talks. It's like, what is your, like, you need to find that person's struggle. How is that person oppressed? And how can you help them to fight that oppression? You know? That's what organizing is. Like, that is what organizing is. In a very real way. Also, there's this article that I read. It's pretty long and it's pretty interesting. I don't know. We could read into it. We could read it. I read it already, and it was pretty interesting. I had a lot of thoughts. We can't onboard the working class from Geese Mag. A little bit of internal DSA drama. This article is getting the rounds though. Did any of you see Technology Connections crashed out about ICE in his latest vid? I just saw it today. Who that? That sounds interesting. We can watch that. Escape. What's the saying? Ecology without organization is just gardening. That's actually a really good saying. I like that a lot. This is an 1.5 hour long video. Oh, I love this guy. I love this person. And this is a crash out about ICE? An hour in, he crashes out about ICE? Escape. Escape. This is Liana La Havas. La Havas. Darude, yeah, exactly. That's how you spell it. So like from here?
Sorry, yeah, this isn't the actual end. If you
don't know who this person is? This person's amazing. Actually, I really like this person's videos. They do really good stuff. Like, and it's usually just like electric engineering, but like about like really weird technology. So if you're interested in like how closed captions work, or like closed captions on like old TVs, or like there's like so many interesting things. That's like old technology. How do electric kettles work? Stuff like that. Like, it's really cool. It's actually, yeah, this channel's amazing. I would be down to check it out. Okay, let's see what they got to say.
Until the actual end, I promise I'll explain why I did that. But for now, I want to ask you something. Did this video make sense to you? A while ago...
No, because I didn't watch it.
I put a quick talking to camera thing together on my second channel where I basically just explained the whole situation here and asked, why does the logic of pay more up front to save more later break down whenever we're talking about renewable energy? It was a pretty snarky video and very off the cuff. I don't even remember what prompted me to make it. But at last year's OpenSauce...
Am I in the right area? Is this what he talks about? Also, can I even get the context? Should I just not watch this? Because it's like an hour-long video. But I'm missing all of the context. Is it going to be okay?
Which, by the way, I'll be headed to again this year. I had a wonderful conversation with someone who told me that video changed their mind. I have to apologize because I don't remember your name, but I very much remember that conversation, and it's been stuck in my head ever since. See, the logic of renewable energy seemed self-evident to me, and that's why the video was as snarky as it was. Frankly, and I don't want this to sound like I think I'm full of myself, but it probably comes across that way, so I apologize in advance. But as soon as I was old enough to understand what photovoltaics did, and that, like almost every technology we've ever dealt with, eventually we'd figure out how to make solar panels cheaply, I immediately thought, oh, cool. So eventually we'll be able to stop burning expensive stuff to generate electricity. And that mental reality has been in my head so long that I never thought to explain it. I kind of assumed everyone already knew what we were trying to do by commercializing solar and storage technologies. So when I discovered it's not as self-evident to everyone as it was to me, well, that's when I started thinking about making this video. And
yo, Noisy Immigrant, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. We're getting some good raids today, chat, from Noisy Immigrant and Zachat. Welcome in. Welcome in, folks.
of making this one.
We're checking out this video. You might recognize this YouTuber. He makes really good videos about technology and like engineering. But they also just put out this video, and people were saying that he like kind of crashes out about ICE in the last like 30 minutes. So we're just checking it out. Kind of going with whatever the chat wants, honestly.
I've been reflecting on some of the other videos I've made. For instance, the videos I've done on heat pumps and electrification, etc. I made those videos assuming that everyone who watched them was on the same page as me, and that comments which were perplexed by my desire to stop paying for things we set on fire were coming from a place of malice. I'm sure some were, but I also know that not everyone is really thinking about resilience.
Oh yeah, I have this.
Of permanent infrastructure.
Surreptitious. I have this on the line, on the queue.
In the way that I am. Lots of those comments were probably honest, especially when I made arguments couched in my own internalized reality, which understands that natural gas is very cheap today, but it is likely to become more expensive in the future, while electricity is almost certainly going to get cheaper. That is, of course, once we decide to cut it out with this weird aberration we find ourselves in where computing is getting less energy efficient somehow.
Ooh.
But I digress. I am always thinking both through a lens of history and opportunity. And that's why when I look at an electrical panel, I don't see a boring piece of infrastructure everyone has in their house. I see an endless variety of new opportunities. If you've got a natural gas connection, then you probably have, at most, 4 appliances which actually utilize it. Meanwhile, literally everything else you own is powered by the wires that are in your house. Everything we've invented in the last, century is electric. All the innovation we've been doing to make our lives better relies on electricity. And all the innovation which happens in the realm of fossil fuels is how to use them slightly more efficiently. That's it. And we're already damn near perfectly optimized in a lot of cases. There's very little room left to innovate. But we are always innovating with electric technologies. And since your house already has wires in it, you can add new things and new technologies to your home with very little effort.
Okay, honestly, chat, when does it get to ICE? It's like 125? Oh, Jesus.
Meanwhile, constituents such as myself haven't even been able to leave a voicemail at any of Senator Durbin's offices because they're all the inboxes are full. They've been very disappointing, but right now we're heading into a primary season, and you'll have the opportunity to vote in those primaries very soon to tell Democrats how you want them to act. Please make sure you're registered to vote in general and in the Democratic primary if that's required in your state. If you don't know how to do that, call or walk into your local library. The people there have the same mission I do, to share knowledge and be helpful, and they'll guide you. Be sure you ask them how the primary process works in your state and whether you need to declare a party affiliation to vote in it. And by the way, just throwing this out there, the process of registering to vote is how we verify the citizenship of voters. You have to be on the voter rolls before you can cast a vote. But it's a lot easier for Republicans to ignore that fact and lie by omission to make you think massive voter fraud from non-citizens keeps happening. They lie all the time, and people need to stop listening to them. This isn't just normal politicians always lie stuff. This is active propaganda designed to make you distrustful of your fellow human beings. It's disgusting and shameful. How did we get to a place where the president can say other countries pay for tariffs and literally nobody cares that he's lying? He's counting on his base not understanding that you can't just charge someone extra money when you buy something from them, because that's just not how trade works. Hell, that's not even how commerce works. I can't walk into Menards and demand they pay me to buy their products. But the only people who were willing to say that plainly were independent journalists and freaking YouTubers. The stalwarts of the press just kept writing headlines as if reality was up for debate, and they still haven't cut that shit out. It is terrifying how nobody is interested in holding anyone accountable for anything these days. But while I am terrified, I am also increasingly hopeful. The people of Minnesota are demonstrating what we have to do.
True.
We have to care for each other.
100%. 100%. I love that.
Don't wait for someone to lend a helping hand.
Yup.
Be that helping hand.
Nobody's coming to save us. Actually, this is great. This is great. He was losing me for a bit, but now he's got me again. He's 100% right. We have to look at Minnesota and understand that even the most liberal, the most democratic, the most blue city councilors, city officials, mayors, governors are not going to fucking lift a finger to protect us. We have to protect us. And a lot of people understand this. A lot of people are realizing this, and they're taking like action according to this. Like, it's really, really, really happening a lot.
Organizing networks are popping up everywhere because those of us who manage to grow up into adults who care about people other than ourselves are not going to stand by and let this illegitimate government run by petulant toddlers violate the Constitution and the very principles that make America great. My fellow Midwesterners in Minnesota have made me so proud. Stay strong and keep teaching us how to be brave and resist this horrible chapter of our history with steadfast, nonviolent.
Hell yeah, Bunch Nasty. Hell yeah. I want to do more. Maybe we can look into that tonight. Jason was telling me about Meshtastic. It seems really interesting. It feels like it has a lot of applications for rapid response, but also requires a lot of infrastructure. But it's a very interesting concept.
Defiance. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a lawless group of masked thugs terrorizing our cities and neighbors for daring to look not quite white. Anyone who has any understanding of history will know that it is happening here. And if you believe that to be true, then you should also believe that ICE must be abolished.
Facts.
And if that freaks you out, I'm gonna guess you've been told the people who say that want completely open borders. Some people do, but most people simply took the poem on the Statue of Liberty as meaningful and think this country should open its arms wide and provide a legal pathway to immigration, just as our ancestors did on the storied Ellis Island. It is our decades-long inability to have true immigration reform occur which put us in this place, and what we're doing today to fix it is clearly wrong. It is a racist, ethnic cleansing operation happening on the pretext of child care fraud.
Yeah, I agree, Shadow.
Already being investigated. And
it's also not, the DHS is like, it's abolish ICE, but it's also like abolish DHS. It's also fucking we need truth and reconciliation. We need trials. We need justice. We need like actual, we need to actually address the racism and white supremacy in this country. Reparations. We need public education, deep public education. And deep community. Like, some stuff the government can't fucking do. And I think we all need to get way more comfortable with that thought. That, like, politics is not just what the government does, it's also how you treat your neighbors. It's also how you treat each other, the way that we show up for each other. We have to relearn how to be in community with each other. We have to relearn how to, like, protect each other and how to, like, how to show up in the way that others want us to show up. There's a word for it. Yeah, it's communism. Boomer's God, abolish prisons. Fuck yeah, dude. Stick around. You're gonna fit in just right here. It's one of the few openly and adamantly abolitionist spaces on the left on Twitch.
Dealt with by the state of Minnesota, but which some terminally online weirdos somehow got wind of and spun into this mad.
No, not reform. We're anti-reform. No more reform of policing and prisons. Abolishment only. Reduce their budget, invest in the things that actually keep us safe. We're done with reform. We're done with it.
Madness. And that madness is being perpetrated by agents of the state and endorsed by Republicans. Republicans could stop this now, but they won't. And the reason I know we absolutely can abolish ICE, I am older than ICE. In fact, I'm older than the entire Department of Homeland Security.
I would also say, and I actually have a video that's going to lead in perfectly from this. I think we need to do, like, when we say this as like an evidence that, oh, like, we want to abolish ICE, and look, we can do it because ICE isn't even that old, right? I think that implies that what happened to immigration before ICE, but what happened before ICE was humane, and that what happened before ICE was good. And that's not true. Like, there was still migrant detention. There were still mass deportations going back to the 1900s, like going back probably even further than that, right? Like, this mass deportation and ethnic cleansing is not a new thing for the American people.
That agency was created post 9/11, and in retrospect, the folks who thought Homeland Security sounds kind of ominous,
No, you're good, Missy.
were apparently correct. We need to throw this system out and start over. And so yes, I believe ICE must be abolished. There is no reforming that agency of thugs. It has to go. And the lawless criminals hiding behind masks who are violating the Fourth Amendment day in and
What up,
day out
Sludge?
need to be prosecuted for each and every one of their crimes. I will be voting in the primaries, and I sure as well hope my representative Sean Casten starts saying that with clarity and conviction. Sean has been one of the people who understand the realities of renewable energy and has been a longtime advocate of it, so we've been pretty aligned, but we're not aligned on everything, and my patience is starting to break. So, if you made it here, thank you for watching. I hope we can bring some sanity back to this country and that we can start calling lies what they are. And you will have to be a part of that.
What up,
Talk to
Naps?
your neighbors, talk to your family, and if you don't know where to start the conversation, that's why there's that fake ending. If you think it might get some gears turning, go ahead and watch this video with someone and stop it there. See
Go to 122.
like it. If you're upset that a tech creator like myself is suddenly being explicit about politics, then you're not paying enough attention and are part of the problem. I should not have to do this. I never thought I'd be making a video where I said, hey guys, remember that whole Constitution thing? I figured our leaders would always uphold it, but they're clearly not. The document does not enforce itself, and so it is up to us. We had a revolution in 1776 to escape the tyranny of British rule, and the Declaration of Independence describes what's going on right now with distressing clarity. Let me quote it for you.
Don't do that. Uh-oh. Don't quote that, dude. The Declaration of Independence, that can get you in trouble, bro. That's a revolutionary document. Unironically, that shit is actually fire. It is so good. It is so radical. It is a call to violence.
He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states.
Yeah, we don't even get mock trials.
For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Those words were written about King George, but they might as well describe Donald Trump. We fought the Revolutionary War to be free of tyrannical kings, but it looks like we're under tyranny again, inflicted on ourselves. You may have been one of those people who likes to stay out of politics, but politics eventually comes for everyone. Here we are. For the love of God, Please learn from this, and remember what happens when you stop paying attention and let other people think for you. It doesn't end well. Now, as scared as I am still going to vote in the midterms, and I will be voting against Republicans.
He had to say that because he saw the Hassan freak out. He had to be clear. He had to be very clear. That's funny. He'll be voting for the DSA guy running against Kasten. You should make sure he does. Yeah, plug him in the comments of that video. It sounds like he's ready to be radicalized. Sounds like somebody who wants an organization and wants things to change and doesn't know how. And that's fucking kindling for us, buddy. You know, that's kindling for us. What did Hassan do voting for someone? Oh, I was just joking about the Gavin Newsom stuff. Oh God, Diana, you're in the Tallarico district, or I guess that's Texas. It's a Senate seat, so yikes. I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. You cannot pay me to give a fuck about that. I'm so serious. There's not a dollar amount that could make me give a fuck about that. It's the same way I feel about fucking Graham Plattner. I'm like, is this really like, I'm on, like, no shade. This is not a criticism. It's not. I'm keeping my promise. No Hassan hate for 60 days after he went on a rapid response after the Minneapolis streams. Okay. I'm not hating on Hassan here, but I'm so serious. It actually makes me sad. It actually makes me fucking sad that the best path to power, the best strategy, the best theory of capturing power for most of the left is the 2028 presidential election. I find that very sad. I really do. It makes me sad that we are even talking about that as a potential like way that we can claim power. And then that's like the best that we have. And we have nothing better to talk about right now. The online left. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like Twitter. I'm talking about Hassan. But it's not like a direct criticism. It is a little bit, I guess, but more than that is just like, dude, what? Like, why do we accept this? Why is this our like theory of power? Like, because it's also like, I feel like so much, even with the John Ossoff bullshit, you know, it's like people like, I feel like Hassan and a lot of people, like, we talk about politicians as if they're making decisions based on principle, as if they're making decisions because they have a good personality, or they have like, you know, like we just need to pick the right person. Guys, what are you, 12? Like, I know you have a materialist understanding of the world. I know you understand like Marxism. Like, why are you acting like this is something like, we just need a good person in the place of power? Like, these people aren't acting on their fucking instincts. They're not acting on principle. They are reacting. The president reacts to power. To what is the self-interest of the people, the institutions that have the most power at that moment. If we as a working class don't have power, if we can't express the power that we hold, whether it be through withholding our rent or withholding our labor, if we don't have organization that can express that power, then it doesn't matter who we elect. We can elect the nicest guy in the world, point proven, Zoran Mamdani in New York, a good guy who seems like he's got, you know, who seems like he's got the right politics and has the right principles, but is still restricted by the power that we do not hold. You know? And also on the other side of that, if we did build that power if we did organize every single workplace, if we did have every single tenant in a union, it wouldn't matter who the fuck is in power. Do you get me? Like, it wouldn't matter who's in power because we could just fucking bring them to their knees in a second. You know? Like, that's I feel like we're getting there. I feel like the ground understands that. The organizing I'm doing understands that. Like, the organizations that I work with, we understand that. People I work with understand that. I feel like the pundit class, like, and that is what it is. Let's be real. There's a lot of punditry happening, and I feel like when you notice that, like, you know, people just turn off their brain to the material conditions or the power dynamics or the like the like, you know, the understanding of it. Like, they're getting into punditry. They're becoming pundits where they're like, oh, well, here's what the American voter wants. Like, the Democrats have never given a fuck what the American voters want. They have never given a fuck about that. Okay. Like, we don't have to pretend that they do. They care about what the capitalists want because the capitalists have all the fucking power. Like, I thought this was like step one of leftism. You know, it feels weird to me. Like, I know I've said it 100 times, but what good is winning when you aren't getting shit? Yeah, exactly. Are you winning? Like, what are we winning? What are we winning, you know? That's why we lost our unions. Yeah, and it wasn't that we lost them, it's that they were taken from us. Like, they were taken from us. They were made criminal. They were, like, illegalized. They were legislated out of existence. You know, and that's the reason, is because we were able to express our class interests through actual power. You know? And I don't know. I mean, like, I think the labor is definitely something we have to work towards and we have to build towards. But y'all know me. Like, I'm 10 toes down on tenant organizing. Everyone is a tenant, you know? Everyone is a tenant. Every tenant deserves a union. We can express our class interests through tenant unions. And that's why I have an ask for you. If you're fucking with what I'm saying right now, if you're fired up and you want to do something, please, ! phone bank in the chat. We talked about this already, but now I have an actual ask for you, and I want to do what I do in our organizing meetings. I want people to tell me in the chat. I want you to make a commitment to me, to the community, and to yourself that you're going to sign up for a shift and you're going to phone bank to make the citywide rent strike on March 1st in 8 days a possibility in Minneapolis. Okay? Please, we need people to phone bank. We need to get Minneapolis tenants on board and ready to strike. We need 10,000 tenants to go on strike in Minneapolis. All right? There's a sign up. If you exclamation point phone bank in the chat, there's a sign up. There's a place you can go. If you want more information, you can visit Twin Cities Tenant Union or exclamation point pledge, or does pledge just go straight to the Airtable? Here, let me get you a different link here. This is if you're curious about the rent strike itself, you want to know who's organizing it, what are the like conditions. If you're in Minneapolis and you're like, can I participate? This FAQ here at the bottom is going to answer all your questions. Okay? This is how we build real power. This is how we build actual fucking power. Is by organizing, by building real tenant union power. By getting together with your neighbors and collectively bargaining. And maybe you don't live in Minneapolis. You can still support this by phone banking, but also by engaging with this organization. I know the people who are at the head of this organization. You will learn immensely. You will become a better organizer for your own city by engaging with this struggle. I promise you. It's a good space to be in, and I give it my full blessing. This is something we need in the next 8 days, okay? Please, phone bank. Do it. Let's build power. But yeah, in general, I don't know, man. I could not give a fuck who you think is gonna be a good candidate for 2028. What's the demand? Eviction moratorium until ICE fully leaves Minneapolis. Rent support from the state. I think they're asking for 15 million or 50 million. I can't remember. Rent relief for people who were affected during the occupation. Eviction moratorium and ICE out of Minneapolis fully. I'm signing up and sent the link to 500 people. Hell yeah, Skoosk. Hell yeah, thank you. Hell yeah. W. Yeah, share it around. Share it around. Yeah, I don't know. I just can't care. I just can't care about. Oh man, I'll get involved in electoralism. We've had congressional candidates on the stream many times, you know, like I'll deal with it, but if you think that's ever going to be my priority or like the primary path that I view the working class like capturing power, I just don't see it. I think we're putting the horse or the cart before the horse. You know? Once we build the working class organization, then we can capture power. We can use these organizations to run candidates. You know what I mean? I don't think DSA is that organization that can like that is actually wielding working class power. And until they go on a strike or use like any kind of like of the working class, like our money, until we use our money, you know, it's not going to work. Do we sign up for a time and then they train us during that time? Yeah, I believe that's how it works. Yeah. It's such a privilege to have your eyes set for 2 years away when people right now need help. Yes! Yes, that part. Like, what the fuck is Adam Mockler doing to protect his neighbors today? People are fucking dying and getting deported and put into fucking torture camps today. What are you doing about that right now? Like, lose it, bro. I keep losing the tip. See this metal part on my spinny thing? Ah! Found it. See? I found it. He's making harm reduction fantasies. I mean, also though, I mean, I really, like, I actually mean it when I'm like, I'm not even mad at Hassan. This is not my critique. I'm not making a critique of Hassan. Like, I really mean that. I'm not even mad at him. I think a lot of this conversation is being forced onto him. Liberals are demanding he answer these dumbass questions, you know? And I don't really have a problem with his answers. I have a problem with the fact that liberals are bringing this up as their main form of like conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course, Argonian. It's not even close. Like, yeah, of course. Liberal.
We are.
One of my oomfies was taking some unnecessary heat though today. Barbarism critic, oomfie. All my oomfies are fighting, dude. My oomfies are fighting, bro. We gotta separate them. Chill out, guys. Chill out, both of you. Actually, barbarism critic was perfect. They did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. I read this thread. Lol, protect Barb. Yeah. She didn't deserve that. I think he's just like letting off steam here. Because all Barbarism Crit said was very frustrating to watch. Which, like, brother, if you're frustrated about that take, this was like the entire chat. Dude, everybody felt that way. Like, every single person felt that way. Like, I think some of you want a socialist debate pedophile. Yes, I do. I mean, brother, yeah. Yeah, I do. I do, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do that content, I'd personally, and again, not a criticism, do whatever the fuck you want, is your platform, Haas. You know what I mean? You do your thing. This is not a but like, yeah, when I tune into that content, I don't really want to watch my leftist himbo like moderate to try to like grab other viewers. I want him to like stand 10 toes down on like dialectical materialism and like a class-centered power analysis. Like, I personally do want that. You know what I mean? But that's it's okay. You don't have to give me that. You know, it's not a critique of you. That is just what I want, you know. That is what I want. But I also don't like go out of my way to consume any of that content anyway. So I'm not going to disagree with harm reduction as an isolated theory. It's just the truth. It's also a weapon the party wields to remain a controlled opposition party. Many of you clearly don't watch me if you think I don't believe that. So much of my convo is basically me repeating what I've said a million times on stream and expanding beyond a clip chimp. Yeah. Also, Barbarism Credit said, I'm not attacking you. I just found the constant circling back to this guy to... So you agree getting shot in the leg is better than getting shot in the head. Obscured the point that Democrats shouldn't be shooting anyone at all. Every time you made a point that, quote, Dems are aligned with Republicans on private health insurance, he would say, well, would you agree 70K deaths is better than 100K? Which misses the point that they're making the choice to let 70K people die. Yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, they're right. They're 100% right. But it's also like, I feel like when we have this back and forth, the fact that we're not like just saying out loud and clearly why they make these choices, like, right? Like, this isn't a mystery, and it's not their personality. It's not their principle. There's a reason that they make these choices. And it's because they're representing the interests of power. You understand that? You know what I mean? They're reacting to power, whether it be healthcare companies. Like, there's power involved, and we don't hold that power. So we are not at the fucking table. And what we want is not even considered. Do you understand? Like, the idea that we're going to vote and put something in and like, you know, like, and like, that's just going to happen without any kind of like power to hold them accountable is it's a little silly. It's like, to me, it just feels like a little childish. Like, you know, like, we don't have to imagine or like pretend or like fake that these are like people who are making principled choices. They're not. And I know that you know that. You know, I know that you know that. I know that everybody knows that. I don't know why we have to do this shit. There's just like so little conversation around it, you know? It's so unserious. You should just let them fall back into irrelevance and delete Twitter. The whole premise of why that debate happened is so unuseful. I mean, I understand why the debate happened. Hassan was getting a lot of shit from liberals and it was getting a ton of views, and he wanted to, like, you know, he wanted to maintain a positive image in the minds of the political liberal class, and explain his positions, because he wants those liberals to engage with his actual content and be radicalized. That's his strategy, and I don't think it's a bad strategy. I just, you know, it ain't my strategy, and that's okay. You know? Would I like Hassan to engage in more like class-based, like power from the bottom analysis and coverage? Of course. But am I going to be mad that he doesn't? No. He's not accountable to me. You know? He's not accountable to me. I ain't his fucking mama. You know? He's gonna do his shit. And if you're getting upset with that, like, actually, it's on you. I'm gonna be real. It's on you. If you think that, like, he's that powerful and, like, he, you know, like, you're putting emotional weight into Hasanabi's, like, his takes and stuff, like, I think it's on you. You got to get over that shit. Because once again, as we've said forever, Twitch streaming is not praxis, guys. Twitch chatting is not praxis. Like, who you watch is not praxis. Like, you know what I mean? It's not. Is gifting praxis? Yes. We'll remind you once he makes a call on Nithya. Yeah, actually, like, so there was that tweet he was covering a few days ago that was like, I don't really even remember. I think it was Brian Tyler Cohen, like, quote tweeted him and was like, yeah, Hassan, why don't you have a chorus with all your money? Why aren't you paying people to, like, you know, represent your worldview on the left? And I was like, yes, Hassan, pay me. I'll never shit on you again. Parentheses, until you start talking about Nithya Raman. But I didn't send it. I typed it in the chat like 3 or 4 times, but I never sent it. I was like, if he reads that out loud, he's going to be very angry. He's going to be angry. I did not send it. And it's funny too, because the revised version I sent, he did read. So I would have gotten in trouble. I knew I would have gotten in trouble. Real people on the ground doing the work do not give a fuck about Hassan. And if you move in organizing spaces like a parasocialist, nobody will like you. I mean, it's true. It is true, yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Are you guys with me? Do you agree with me? Like, do you feel that way too? Or do you guys think, like, is there anybody in here who is like, no, electoralism is like really important. We have to be talking about the 2028 presidential election right now. It's okay. I didn't mean to laugh after I said that, but I don't know. Most of my political merch is from ideology, though. I don't defend the himbo unconditionally by any means. Yeah. Yeah. We can be a fan. I mean, guys, I never pretended to be anything else, bro. I came out of the Hasanabi chat. The reason you guys know me is because he pulled up my stream at the UCLA encampment. Like, he's, you know, I am an orbiter at the end of the day. Like, you know, it is what it is. Even if we are able to have more critical conversations over here, it is going to be that. I know you from Tofu based. I was here before that. Damn right you were. Yeah, a lot of you were, but I appreciate Hassan. Me too. Me too. He ain't perfect, and this is what we've always said, you know? Bro's not perfect, but he's very good. Don't say orbiter. I mean, we're critical. I don't care. I don't care. Also, it's not like I put him in my title every fucking day. It's not like I spend every single day watching Hassan's VOD from the day before. Okay, there are streamers who do that. It's not me. Like, we talk about our own shit here, you know? Not that kind of orbiter. You know, we got our own priorities and our own shit. I got 100,000 on Cauchy saying Newsom wins. Let's fucking go, dude. Let's fucking go. It's also super important to diversify who you get your stuff from. For sure. And I've been saying this a lot too. Like, I've been saying this for a minute. Like, if you're getting all of your news from white men, you know, you're missing out on perspective. You know, you should work in a little bit of Jason D100, a little bit of Doodle Burb, a little bit of, you know, Andrea Reigns, a little bit of you know, Tofu Ghost if Tofu ever streams again. Struggle 4, right? Yeah. You know, you gotta fix a little bit of Shaun the Black too, right? Arun, he's fire now. Rhizome. Asdief, yeah, for sure. I said Jason first, okay? A little bit of Madeline Pendleton. I don't got no problem with her. I know people like she's got a lot of haters, but so do I. So so do I. I mean, what the fuck does that mean? I'm never believing anything about people like about what people say about another person on the internet again. We gotta make our haters our waiters. True. You guys want to spam ACAB real quick for me? Listen to this fucking horrific story. Trigger warning, sexual assault. Trigger warning, power imbalances. For real here. But this is a story that I wanted to make sure we covered.
Not sure everybody heard me the first time. 2 NYPD officers today pled guilty to sexually assaulting a drunk, unconscious woman, and they got probation. Not a single day in jail after they pled guilty to sexually assaulting a woman after forcing her out of a nightclub. She is seen on security footage, mouth open, eyes closed, unable to hold herself up. And those 2 officers took her back to one of their apartments and sexually assaulted her. She says she feels nothing but anger and fear after she went out one night to have fun, and the next thing she knows, she's waking up in an apartment she doesn't recognize, being sexually assaulted by 2 men she doesn't know. And those were 2 officers with the NYPD who admitted to doing it and did not get a single day in jail. My outrage isn't me being surprised, it's me being horrified.
Yep. Reminder that while these 2 fuckers, these pigs, are not spending a single day in jail, that Jabez Chakraborty, who his crime was having a mental health episode, was shot and is chained to a fucking hospital bed in critical condition still. The people who shot Jabez's names have never been released. They've never spent a second in custody. They haven't been charged with anything. That ain't right. It ain't. And it ain't just that, chat, because guess what? Taking a page from Eric Adams, Mayor Mamdani proposes New York City library cuts. Mamdani's preliminary budget proposal, which he introduced earlier this week, includes a $29 million cut. $29 million cut to the city's 3 major library systems. While the NYPD is pulling passed out women out of clubs and taking them back to their apartments on duty and sexually assaulting them. You see what I mean? If we don't have the power, if we don't have actual means and organization to wield that power, it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter who we put in the fucking office. It doesn't matter. The machine will continue machining. It will continue to be its fucking bullshit pig ass self. And it will reproduce itself. And it will strengthen itself. And the homeless sweeps? Yeah. Actually, like, I don't know. The homeless sweeps are fucked up. I don't know. I want to learn. I want to read more about it and like get into it. Because what I have read is that I feel like it's a little bit more nuanced than people are making it. Sweeps are never okay. Don't get me wrong. sweeps are never okay, but it does seem like it's in the middle of winter. People are dying on the streets. They got 7 days of daily consecutive like outreach. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That is 7 days of consecutive outreach is very different than like showing up at 4 a.m. and telling everybody to move everything by 6, which is what happens in LA. And a lot of times when you think of a homeless sweep, that's what it is. It still ain't right. People need housing, full stop. But I don't know if it's like that's not what I'm most upset about Zoran for this moment. They need housing, The shelters are terrible. Yeah, they are. Yeah. And the resources that they're providing are not good or compassionate. Of course. We have a lot of fucking room to work. Like, we got a lot to fix. But I don't know. In the meantime, I do think there is like you can't just let people freeze on the streets, Like, that ain't right either. I don't know. Like I said, I want to read more about it. I'm no expert. I'd love to hear from more like New York homeless advocates about it and see what people are really thinking and feeling about it. Let's check out this new Vox video. What was immigration like before ICE? This is like a lot of what we were talking about earlier. Oops. Where it's like, people are like, oh, I am older than ICE. We can abolish ICE. Just go back to what it used to be. And that ain't the solution either. We got to find something new, something brand spanking new.
Something interesting on the history page.
Not INS.
Right here, it says, despite U.S. immigration and custom enforcement's relatively young age, its functional history predates the modern birth of the agency by more than 200 years. That phrase, functional history, stuck out to me, so I decided to do some digging.
It's functional history. They're arguing that there was a functional equivalent, right, to their agency. Well.
Now, we know that ICE was created by the Homeland Security Act in 2003.
To defend the United States and protect our citizens against the dangers of a new era.
So what exactly do they mean by this? I reached out to ICE directly, asking for their explanation of this functional history, but they never got back to me.
That narrative is kind of an effort to make the agency itself seem like it has this deep lineage that it simply does not.
Following breaking news in Minneapolis,
they're going back to slave captors. I mean, I would love to hear the historical accounts that ICE is framing that from, right? Because even if you look up like the history of passports, right, of like a legal documentation that like documented the movement of people over borders, right, like a piece of paper that did that, it's like World War I. Like this isn't always like, we haven't always lived like this. Visas and all this like documentation and state like officials, it really goes back to like World War I. I guess the first in America, it says that the first during World War here, hold on. Rapid expansion of railway infrastructure and wealth in Europe beginning in the mid-19th century led to large increases in the volume of international travel and a consequent unique dilution of the passport system for approximately 30 years prior to World War I. The speed of trains, as well as the number of passengers that cross multiple borders, made enforcement of passport laws difficult. One of the earliest known references to paperwork that served as an analogous role to passport is found in the Hebrew Bible. It states that Nehemiah, an official serving King Artaxerxes asked permission to travel to Judea. The king granted leave and gave him a letter to the governors beyond the river requesting safe passage for him as he traveled through their lands. That doesn't sound like a fucking passport to me. Doesn't sound like passport. In the medieval Islamic Caliphate, a form of passport was the bara'ah, a receipt for taxes paid. Only people who paid their taxes were permitted to travel to different regions of the Caliphate. Again, not really an equivalent to what we have now. Like legal documentation that garners state violence if not respected. Before World War I, in most situations, only adult males could receive a passport. So, even when it did exist, it totally excluded women's freedom to travel. Yeah, I don't consider that to be the same thing. In 1920, the League of Nations held a conference on passports, the Paris Conference on Passports and Customs Formalities and Through Tickets. Passport guidelines and a general booklet design resulted from the conference, which was followed up by conferences in 1926 and 1927. The League of Nations issued Nansen passports to stateless refugees from 1922 to 1938. Brett, I have immigration papers from my German family that says something like, I, the King of Holy Roman Empire, allow my people to seek living in America / another country. Yeah, but do you think, like, most people did not have that shit? Like, most people just arrived on Ellis Island and were like, yeah, they thought my religion was fucking weird. Because it was. You know, and if we're talking about European travel to America, most of it was like religious extremism that was so weird that the British were like, get the fuck out of our country, you weirdos. And so like all these like extremist religions were traveling and putting up shop in America. You know, that's like the earliest immigration to America. Anyway, let's look at this.
City officials confirm a shooting occurred reportedly involving a federal ICE agent.
It is the second shooting of an American citizen by federal officers in that city in just 3 weeks.
So I decided to do a bit of my own research. We're going to take a look at 3 distinct eras in American history, showing how immigration policy slowly transformed from labor management to law enforcement, culminating in the creation of ICE. So on the same page of their site, ICE refers to the remarkable development of the country throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, including the essential role of immigration and the evolving laws and regulations. Now, in terms of how the US treated immigration enforcement, the 19th and 20th centuries are actually really different from each other.
One of the remarkable things is that the Constitution is actually silent on immigration. So for the first century of the Republic, Congress plays virtually no role in regulating the arrival, admission, exclusion, or deportation of foreigners.
With one notable exception, the Alien and Sedition Acts, which authorized the president to deport non-citizens and allowed their arrest and imprisonment during wartime.
There is a panic in the United States over the potential radical ideas that certain immigrants are bringing to the United States, specifically after the French Revolution.
But real immigration restrictions wouldn't happen for almost another 100 years. And that's because until the Civil War resolved the issue of slavery in the US, regulating immigration at the federal level was incredibly difficult.
The problem throughout the antebellum period is if Congress had muscled in and said, we're going to control the arrival of the Irish poor into Boston or New York, exactly the same authority could have been used to regulate the arrival of free black people in South Carolina when you have slavery in the picture. It takes a civil war to resolve that conflict between the national and the local level.
So then in 1882, after the Civil War, Congress passed two foundational laws restricting immigration in the US. The Immigration Act allowed the exclusion of certain vulnerable minorities, such as people carrying contagious diseases.
The same year, in 1882, Congress passes another law, and that's the Chinese Exclusion Act. This law discriminates against Chinese people on grounds of race. It also discriminates on grounds of class, because it's targeting not all Chinese people, but Chinese laborers in particular.
Now, since immigration isn't in the Constitution, this law was put to the courts. And the Supreme Court made a decision that would have ripple effects all the way to the modern day.
In effect, what the court rules is that power over national borders is so fundamental to the definition of any nation that it's extra-constitutional. It's a matter of national security and geopolitics.
This pivotal moment is when the US declares it has the right to turn immigrants away based solely on race or ethnicity. And in 1891, the first federal immigration agency was established to enforce these laws, the Office of the Superintendent of Immigration, and it had a staff of 4 people.
The immigrants of old turned their eyes toward America's gateway, Ellis Island.
It's really hard to overstate just how central Ellis Island was to immigration at this time. About 2 years after the formation of the first agency, the staff had grown to 180 people, and 119 of them were employed at Ellis Island. And that's because from 1892 to 1924, 20 million immigrants arrived in the US, and 12 million of them came through Ellis Island. And almost none of them were turned away.
In that 40-year period between the 1880s and the 1920s, we would estimate that somewhere between only 1% and 2% of all European immigrants coming to the United States were excluded on arrival. In an era without passports, without visas, without the administrative capacity to really enforce the law beyond a certain point, the expectation, as long as you weren't Chinese, coming to the United States, is that you would get in.
And that was only 100 years ago.
And the greatest war the world had known exploded in Europe.
I studied U.S. history on the college level. Ellis Island is the only part I didn't hear about. Really?
After World War I, the United States shifted from welcoming immigrants to restricting them. Many Americans feared a wave of displaced European refugees, and rising xenophobia intensified concerns that these immigrants would threaten national security and the so-called American way of life. These fears culminated in the Immigration Act of 1924.
Until 1924, American borders were normatively open, and after that they became normatively closed. You get large-scale numerical restriction.
And this is the start of the third distinct era of US immigration. The Immigration Act of 1924 set strict limits on how many immigrants could enter the US from each country.
U.S. immigration is restricted by law to a selective annual quota from each foreign country.
The quotas were based on the 1890 US Census, and the goal was to preserve the proportions of each nationality from over 30 years prior, which largely restricted immigrants.
So it's still, yeah, exactly, dude. It's still heavily ethnic based. And the United States government still trying to maintain an ethnic background and an ethnic makeup. Like, and enacting policy to make sure that that is the way, that the country looks the way they want it to.
From Eastern and Southern. And immigrants were excluded from not only China, but all of Asia, as well as Africa. Upon signing the law, President Calvin Coolidge said, "America must be kept American."
So that to me is the turning point, because we totally take it for granted that there is a cap on immigration today. And just by accepting that, right, we are accepting the logic of the restrictionists.
So in 1933,
I mean, it's not only that though, like what else is happening in the 1920s and the 1930s? Flight. Like this is when like people are traveling at long distances like they never have in world history, right? I don't even know if there's like if they were doing transatlantic. When was the first transatlantic flight? The first transatlantic flight doesn't even happen until 1944. And there was a blimp. It was a blimp, you know? Charles Lindbergh was the first person to fly solo nonstop across the Atlantic in 1927. So exactly around the same time.
Immigration enforcement was merged with naturalization and became the Immigration and Naturalization Services, or the INS. They would remain the immigration agency until 2003. And then in 1940, President Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the INS from the Department of Labor to the Department of Justice. And that's a change that will come to redefine immigration in the US.
He does that pretty explicitly with the understanding that things are getting dicey in Europe.
The harvest days of 1939 brought a turn of world events whose effect on U.S. economy no man can yet predict.
The threat of World War II added to the growing notion of immigration as a national security issue. Immigration was no longer just about managing a workforce. FDR wrote in his reorganization plan, "I am convinced that under existing conditions, the immigration and naturalization activities can best contribute to the national well-being only if they are closely integrated with the activities of the Department of Justice." The INS was now tasked with fingerprinting every immigrant in the US and organizing internment camps and detention centers for people they considered to be enemy aliens.
So that is people who
enemy
have
aliens,
citizenship, people whose political backgrounds has put them on the United States' radar.
During World War II, the INS detained almost 32,000 German, Italian, and Japanese non-US citizens, who were also denied lawyers. In total, the INS operated as many as 65 incarceration camps in this period. We want to take a second to thank our Vox members. This video and reporting is only for still follow us. Now there's one region we haven't really discussed so far that's central to this era of change in American immigration: Latin America. It's important to note that the quota system implemented in the 20s never affected Latin America.
Agricultural businesses in the Southwest don't want any restriction on the labor supply. Latin America is exempted from these laws.
And that sentiment continued through to World War II, when there was a massive labor shortage in the US. The 1942 Bracero program allowed millions of Mexican men to enter the US and work legally on short-term labor contracts.
Braceros. In Spanish, this means a man who works with his arms and hands.
The program, a partnership with the Mexican government, guaranteed fair wages for the workers, but many employers, especially in Texas, wanted even cheaper labor. So while millions of Mexicans entered the country through legal means in the 40s and 50s, hundreds of thousands of undocumented workers also crossed the border illegally and found work. And so it's in this time that the immigration debate in the US really focuses on the southern border. And in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower implemented Operation Wetback, named after a pejorative slur for Mexican immigrants. The operation used military tactics to pursue—
Hell yeah, RK Monkey. Exclamation point phone bank if you want to get involved and put some skin in that game. All right, put some time out, put some time in, and make some phone calls. Get some people signed on.
Its goals, led by INS head and U.S. Army Lieutenant General Joseph Swing.
The American Border Patrol struggles against a tense, explosive international problem. Along the sprawling California-Mexico border, thousands of Mexican wetbacks or illegal—
Jesus Christ, bro.
—sneaking into the United States.
The result was one of the largest deportation efforts in U.S. history. The INS completed sweeps of factories and farms, shipping undocumented immigrants back to Mexico in boats, buses, and planes. The U.S. later claimed that 1.3 million people were deported.
So as we get into the 60s and 70s, the Immigration Service is in kind of a tricky spot.
At the height of the Civil Rights Movement in the U.S., President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act. The consequential law prioritized family reunification and skills and repealed the long-standing policy of restricting immigration based on race and ethnicity. It was also around this time that Americans started focusing more on undocumented immigrants on the interior of the U.S.
The agency is also moving away from just policing the border. There is very much a sort of growing consensus and understanding that undocumented people are living in American communities throughout the U.S. The INS is really stretched thin. They are trying to do interior enforcement or internal operations, not just work that is near the border. The INS's budget in 1975 is $181 million. By the time the agency ends in 2003, the budget has eclipsed $6 billion.
And the INS grew this budget by doubling down on immigration as a national security and criminal justice issue.
This is an era where there is massive funding and bipartisan support for things like the war on crime, the war on drugs.
And so the INS began to explicitly rebrand.
They don't want to be known for naturalization. They don't want to be known for, working through asylum hearings. What they want to be known for is law enforcement.
In a statement by the Attorney General under President Ronald Reagan in 1986, he refers to the INS as the criminal justice agency charged with the important responsibility for oversight and control of aliens attempting to enter or reside within our borders. Criminal justice agency. Then in 2001, 19 al-Qaeda terrorists, all non-US citizens, used America's temporary immigration system to attack the US.
Bro, what? They used what? Wow, I didn't realize that the temporary immigration system was what flew into the fucking towers, dude. Oh my God, what a wild sentence.
And immigration became solidified as a matter of national security. The Department of Homeland Security was created, merging 22 existing agencies and sub-agencies. Under the new DHS,
yeah, like, dude, this guy right here, he stopped a terrorist. He stopped a terrorism. It happened.
DHS, INS, and Customs Enforcement were consolidated into ICE.
This is explicitly a law enforcement body. And this is a transition that the agency had desired, I think, for decades preceding.
So this brings us back to ICE's original claim, that their functional history dates back over 200 years prior to the agency's creation in 2003.
I think it's interesting, like, the work that line is doing, right? The work that line is doing is to try to push back to people who say, this is only a 20-something-year-old agency, right? They want to suggest that it's foundational to the United States, that it is not alarming that we've had an agency like this. And in some ways, we've had an agency that takes on some of these responsibilities.
But immigration being an arm of law enforcement is a much more recent phenomenon. And when people think of ICE today, that's what they think of.
This is a way kind of legitimizing ICE, that somehow we've always had ICE. We have had deportation campaigns. We have had, throughout American history, anti-immigrant sentiment and legislation and deportations. But we always haven't had masked ICE agents going into the interior of the United States with guns and breaking down doors, sending immigrants.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean, though. This is what I mean whenever you say, like, oh, we should just go back to the way it was before. Like, we still were doing mass deportations in the 1900s under the INS, right? No, they talked about the Japanese internment, didn't they? They were talking about in World War II, there was 17 detention centers for German, Italian, and Japanese immigrants
Who are captured to third countries.
I think it's gradual. I think the story of immigration law is really a story about sort of compounding restrictions on who can come.
American immigration has long been deeply tied to race and origin, whether that was Chinese laborers or World War II alien enemies. Today, with a much more powerful agency like ICE, Latino communities have been challenged with the most punitive impacts.
We're going to have a deportation level that we haven't seen in this country for a long time.
Bro, Eric, what are you doing with your hands, bro? Is this an Illuminati thing? He's doing the Illuminati thing, isn't he? Are we conspiracy braining here? Or is this just a very weird way to hold your hands like that?
Dwight Eisenhower, actually.
To that extent, there probably will be some, ICE-like, it may not be called ICE, there will be some kind of institutions that are programs to curtail some immigration. The question is, will we see this kind of enforcement in the interior, this kind of illegal enforcement without judicial warrants going into people's houses and arresting them?
The United States is and always will be a nation of immigrants. And with that, attention over immigration is partially fundamental to this country's DNA. ICE is the culmination of centuries of shifting immigration rhetoric and enforcement. But at the same time, it's so important to remember that immigration enforcement is not written into the Constitution.
Of course, as a historian, I will find certain precedent.
Do you know what is written into the Constitution? Your First Amendment, the right to free speech. that the Congress can't make a law that restricts your ability to express yourself, or the press, or religion. And yet that happens every fucking day, okay? The Fourth Amendment, those things are actually in the Constitution. These are amendment, like this. Some of the first things they did, maybe you heard of it, the Bill of Rights.
And then one could conclude from that one of two things. One is, oh my God, it's always been terrible. Or you could say, well, all of these things have been fought, many of these things have been fought over before. The rights that were won for Americans in the past are vulnerable. We have to fight to retain them.
Thanks for watching, and thanks again to our Vox members. We were able to make this video because of their support.
Is Vox? I thought Vox like died or got killed or something. Didn't they get sold or something like that? No, they're still posting. They're still posting. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think the wildest part was that, like, him saying they used the immigration system to do 9/11. That was the weirdest part. Chad, I'm really sorry. I feel like shit. I think I gave enough tonight, and I don't want to be live anymore. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do better tomorrow. We're gonna do movie night tomorrow. We're gonna watch Frederick Wiseman movies. Tallulah, welcome in. Thank you for hanging out. Come back another time. Sleep well, hydrate some more. Yeah, I am going to. I just feel like shit, man. Sucks having this damn meat sack, you know? I wish I could just upload my brain. Then I would be live for you all the time. But unfortunately, I'm trapped in this meat bag. And sometimes the meat bag doesn't feel good. My fuel tube is feeling sick. They're all just sacks of meat and bone with a hole going through us. And my meat tube, my fuel tube is a little off kilter today. So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a stream tomorrow night. We'll do political stream and movie night. Movie night's gonna be really special tomorrow. Come through. We're gonna be watching some great documentaries by the one and the only Frederick Wiseman. Who's an incredible American documentary that died this week. Can we raid? Of course, we're going to raid Peden. Unless you got a suggestion. You got a suggestion? No, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Chat, let's boost up this call here. I'm going to post it in the chat. You guys copy and paste it. And it's like pretty long of a message. Should we spam that when we raid over to Eaton's chat? I think it's a pretty good, well-crafted little message. Right? Anyway, I don't know. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. We're going over to Peden. Thank you for being here. I apologize for the short one. I wish I could have streamed longer. I think I did okay, all things considered. Just short.